Hello everybody, welcome to Tousi TV, your global news channel. I'm Tousi and we come to you guys with a live coverage of the civil conflict in Syria. The situation remains unstable. We have a lot of videos coming in. There's a live ongoing development as the Kurds are now being targeted by the Turkish-backed Islamists under the leadership of Al-Julani. Al-Julani is not taking responsibility as the so-called interim president of Syria, but of course Erdogan and his backers are supporting this massive attack on the Kurdish civilians. And we're going to give you guys all the updates on this, and of course we will get your reaction live as well. Don't forget we have a few days left, but make sure to take advantage of our limited offer to join Tousi TV Plus. You will get 50% off annual memberships of our channel if you use the promo code X50 by going directly on Tousi.tv, or just find the link in the description. And don't forget to download the Tousi TV app from your app stores. Heavy clashes broke out again, this time in Aleppo, between the Syrian government forces, essentially the Islamists, and the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, or the SDF. This is primarily in Sheikh Massoud neighborhood, which is supposed to be a Kurdish neighborhood. Let's go to the first video, then I'm going to explain exactly what's going on tonight. There we go. They want you to think that Syria is now a normal country. They want you to think that the country is becoming unified. It's not true. This is also going to affect a lot of people around the world, including in the West, because you're going to have a new wave again of migrants and refugees coming into your countries. Because things are just getting worse, and it's not really just about the Kurds, it's also about just other civilians in Syria. If they can see the situation, if Syria remains essentially a pseudo war zone without it officially being a war zone, of course there's still going to be a lot of migrants and refugees leaving the country, even if they are not Kurds. So having said that, to explain the situation, on the map you can see Aleppo here, and to the north of it, of course on the right hand side, the southeast of Aleppo, you have the actual international airport, which was targeted before as well. But the north of Aleppo, you have the Kurdish neighborhood, and of course that area is supposed to be a majority SDF. That's this obviously the Syrian Democratic Forces, the Kurds, who are backed, by the way, by President Donald Trump. So those guys are supposed to be protected. Those guys are supposed to be secured. But there were a lot of the Islamists were poking the bear, kept pushing and pushing and pushing, because Al-Julani has this vision of Syria that is completely unified, even if that means other people will have to concede and make sacrifices, those who don't like Al-Julani. Now the Kurds have been getting attacked by Bashar al-Assad when he was the dictator in Syria, so they had him to deal with. Then he left, and now they have Al-Julani's minion Islamists to deal with. At the same time, we have more footage coming from Aleppo, the clashes. It's getting really bad now. But there are also some protests that have now spontaneously started, erupted by the Kurds in, for example, the city of Qamishli, which is in essentially the northern province, in the northeast of Syria, in Hasaka. This is in solidarity with the Kurdish community in northern Aleppo as the situation continues to escalate. And it's quite late over there, obviously. Let's go to Hasaka and see what happened. So as you can see, I mean, these guys are just out protesting. But obviously Al-Julani and Erdogan want you to think every single one of these Kurds are basically terrorists. All these women and children who are walking around peacefully protesting with no guns, apparently they're all terrorists and they are a threat to the Syrian stability. Obviously, the evidence is there, you can see that's not true, but that's why they want to wipe out the Kurds. That's why, because the Kurds refuse to surrender to the Islamic extremism of Erdogan and Al-Jilani. And of course, but you have to basically gaslight the global population first. You have to paint the Kurds in Syria as the problem first, and then you can go and wipe them out. That's basically the plan from the Islamist side. Now, the Syrian government forces, who until now they've been saying we're not involved, nothing is happening, I don't know what's going on, nobody told me. The government forces are actually have deployed their forces, and this is in Aleppo, northern parts of Aleppo, and they are aimlessly shooting at the general direction of the neighborhood, the Kurdish neighborhood, to obviously maximize civilian casualty. Let's go to that video. It's insane. They're just shooting at anything. And they are filming it proudly, by the way. You can see the uniforms, despite what the government says. So, one issue is that if they don't see the reality, now, some governments might speak out, but most of them are going to basically stay quiet. President Trump is obviously backing the Kurds in this situation. The Americans will send some support, but at the end of the day, this is just going to be a regular occurrence. And if the government forces want to portray all the Kurds in Syria as terrorists, when they go and film themselves and post it online with government uniforms, and then at the same time send the message saying that the government is not even involved in the military, well, we are here to expose this. If the mainstream media, the international media, are not going to talk about this, we will expose this. More people will be watching these sort of channels, new media channels, than the legacy. Now, as I said, the internal security have now sent reinforcements, and this is to a station at the entrance and the exit of Sheikh Massoud neighborhood, the Kurdish neighborhood in northern Aleppo. This is also in Ashrafiyeh. Now, these two areas are supposed to be, they were supposed to be untouched by the Islamists, although Al-Jilani had been indicating that he wants to take over everything in Syria. The Kurdish side, the Christian side, at this point, anybody who refuses to surrender, but things will escalate until the international community realize that you can't pander to Al-Jilani. You've seen what he's done to the Druze community, for example, in the south. These are the military reinforcement, the internal security reinforcements. There's a lot of them. They're going to go and do their so-called jihad. Now, the Turkish are also responsible, and we have to talk about the role that Erdogan has, because Erdogan, of course, was the guy who did the coup and trained HTS and Al-Jilani's militants to take over Syria. The Turkish-backed Sultan Süleyman Shah, or Amshad, and also Hamza divisions, both of them, who have been implicated in the massacre in Syria against, in Suwaida, for example, against the Druze, against the Christians. They are once again active. Turkey is a member of NATO. President Trump, who leads NATO, is backing the Kurds. Another member of NATO is essentially attacking the group of people who have the support of President Trump. The whole geopolitics, the matrix of geopolitics is now completely out of the window. Nothing is straightforward anymore. It's no longer the days of the Axis and the allies, you got this side, you got that. Everybody is implicated, and everybody is essentially enemy of an enemy is a friend. friend who's temporarily a rival needs to be ignored, but we can make business another time. Now, according to the Syrian Ministry of Defense, the Syrian army has no intention of waging a war against the Kurds, saying that the clashes are actually as a result of the Kurds provoking Muslims. That's, yeah, because Muslims get provoked all the time. Just listen to that. It's bad. You could hear the screaming from women and children. Now, the Kurdish residents in Ramishla, as we said, and also in Kobani, the western part of the Kurdish territory, took to the streets and they are protesting. And the thing is, now the government, Al-Julani, need to be able to multitask, because the clashes are not just going to be in northern Aleppo. It's going to be everywhere. Look at them, they're out. This is to send support. Of course, some of these guys are now going to go down to northern Aleppo to basically fight back and defend their fellow Kurds. But massive crowd over there as well. Some of them are going to stay, of course, and just protest, which means the government are going to come and do a crackdown. Some of them are going to go down to northern Aleppo. Let's not forget, it's kind of early hours of morning right now over there. Suppose it's like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. In Syria. If you're watching this live, actually, it's 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. right now in Syria, and these sort of clashes do happen, especially actually any conflict in the Middle East happens after midnight. They don't tend to have anything going on around 4 p.m. But it's going to be a long night once again. Now, since the SDF, the Kurds, withdrew from a territory to facilitate the integration into the Syrian government, the local police remained. The residents, that includes, by the way, Christians and Yazidis, are absolutely terrified because there is no protection for them. The Kurds basically said, okay, well, we will be part of Syria, just leave us alone. That was the point. There is no protection in those neighborhoods apart from local police, okay? Now, a lot of the local police obviously are loyal to the government because they are terrified. There is no one there to help these innocent people. Now, the SDF soldiers, the Kurdish militants, they are there, and they are the ones fighting back. But in terms of numbers, they will be outnumbered by all the other tribes, including the government forces. Now, people of Kobani are also out on the streets. We can show you the next clip coming from the gathering, which again soon will experience a massive crackdown. It's interesting because the massacre of the Kurds and the Druze and the Christians and everybody else, Yazidis, innocent civilians, where or when do you think you're going to have any sort of protest organized by the Western liberals, the Western leftists, the United Nations, the Amnesty International, the human rights groups? Where is Greta Thunberg? Do they actually care? No, because Jews are not involved in this. It's Islam, so it's okay, apparently. They claim to care about women and children in Gaza, but only in Gaza. Nobody else matters. People in Yemen, people in obviously Sudan, people here in Syria, in Libya, in Iran. And tomorrow, there is a reason I'm mentioning all these terrible places, is because all these leftists and people in France, in the UK, in Canada, many places in the West, in Sweden, if normal people don't realize the real threat now is the left, that big chunk of the country who don't care. Because when things kick off on the streets of Sweden, on the streets of Germany, these people are not going to protect you because Jews are not involved. They would literally see innocent women and children in England getting attacked, and they are regularly getting attacked, but when things get worse, big chunk of the country, almost half the country, will stay silent. They would take the side of the enemy. So when we talk about why is it that they don't talk about Libya or Yemen or Syria, it's to warn everybody else in the West. All you guys watching in your countries, and you know you have leftists and people who are against your country, be careful. Don't expect them to wake up. Don't expect them to take your side when the troublemakers cause chaos on your streets. In Stockholm, for example, or Paris. Now, extremely heavy clashes continue in Aleppo, near the Kurdish neighborhoods of Sheikh Massoud and also Ashrafia. Let's go to the next clip that we've just received. How many lives will be lost tonight? Well, Greta Thunberg is going around, and now that she's back in Europe, pretending she was a hostage of Israel. Nobody's safe. Nowhere is safe. Islamists are now saying in Syria that they are the victims. I'm not joking, I'm not exaggerating. This is the official line from the Islamic tribes and the government, that the Islamists are the victims after they launched the war against the Kurds. I mean, I know it's kind of a natural thing to do, natural type of behavior to gaslight everyone once you attack, and then when the Kurds fight back, you have to pretend to be the victim, but it's really getting crazy now.
Ya Rab, Allahu Akbar.
So this is one of the Islamic Syrians filming this in northern Aleppo. Well, there's a lot of videos on social media. I did notice one or two videos that we were going to post that were actually from a few days ago. One of them was from like months ago. So they will be mixed, unfortunately, which I'm trying to verify the timing. It's quite difficult when it's live, the clips are coming in. But most of the videos, as you can see, is still from tonight, but also the statements, the reality that this situation is still ongoing, even if Al-Julani pretends that nothing is happening. We do have a statement from the Syrian Democratic Council urging, this is an urgent statement, they are obviously backed by President Trump, based in the United Kingdom, saying the Syrian Democratic Council UK representation expresses its deepest alarm at the escalating bombardment of the Sheikh Massoud and Ashrafia neighborhoods in Aleppo, where regime-affiliated forces have begun using heavy weapons and artillery against civilian areas. Reports from the ground confirm that over 50 civilians have been wounded so far in tonight's shelling, with many more trapped under the ongoing blockade. Residential areas, hospitals, and vital infrastructure are being targeted, threatening a large-scale humanitarian disaster. By the way, this statement was from a few hours ago, so things have gone much worse since then. This was the beginning of the attack. These attacks represent a flagrant violation of international humanitarian law, and form a part of a systemic campaign of collective punishment against the population of these predominantly Kurdish neighborhoods. We call upon the United Kingdom government and the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, Foreign Office, to urgently condemn these attacks in the strongest possible terms. I hate this. I really hate this. I hate the diplomatic language that has become a norm in our so-called world order. Now, I'm on the side of the Syrian Democratic Council. I agree with the statement, right? Why is it that the first thing you urge the British government to do is, ooh, can you please condemn? Can you please just write a mean tweet? I hate this. It's the same with when people demand apologies. What's that going to do? Oh, let's get Keir Starmer to apologize for being a terrible prime minister. Oh, well done. Oh, let's condemn the Islamists. Oh, yeah, Islamists are going to be terrified now. Anyway, that was one of the demands. There is more. The rest of it makes sense. It's the first one. It's just stupid. Demand an immediate ceasefire and humanitarian access to the besieged areas. Again, you can't demand. Work with international partners and the United Nations to ensure the protection of civilians and accountability for those responsible. I'm going to explain the problem here. The three demands. The first one is stupid. Condemn. Ooh, okay, we condemn. Well done, right? Second one, demand an immediate ceasefire. Do you really think the Islamists are going to say, well, if they demand it, we're going to have to do ceasefire? No. The third one makes sense, but you targeted the wrong group, you addressed the wrong groups. It says, work with international partners. Okay, that's a bit vague, but we know what you mean. And the United Nations to ensure protection. United Nations. You expect the United Nations to ensure protection. Now, you write in that statement, Syrian Democratic Council, call President Trump. He is the biggest backer of the Kurds in Syria. Bashar al-Assad, who spent years slaughtering these Kurds. Why do you think President Trump and the US government backs the Kurds? Because they were getting killed by Assad. To be fair, they were getting killed by Assad more than now. The number of people getting killed on a regular basis by Assad was much worse than under al-Jilani. Al-Jilani has this facade of, yeah, we're not really, I'm not ordering directly to kill. There are some jihadis going around. I don't know who that person is. Oh, he's my old cousin. So technically speaking, more people were slaughtered by Assad than al-Jilani. We know that. But that's irrelevant. President Trump and the US government started backing the Kurds when they were getting attacked by Assad. He's still backing them. If you're writing a statement to our stupid foreign secretary in the UK, you say, British government, can you pick up the phone to the White House? That's the only thing you should put as a demand, if you have any demands. Anyway, the final part says, the Syrian Democratic Council, UK, stands in unwavering solidarity with the residents of Sheikh Massoud and Ashrafiyah and with all Syrians striving for a democratic, pluralistic and decentralized future built on justice and peace. Now, the problem with this is that, and I agree, it's not going to happen when you have people like al-Jilani in charge, because Islam and Islamic leadership doesn't believe in decentralization. The one similarity between their Islamic ideology and socialism is that they both believe in centralization. They both believe in a central planning system. You're not going to get decentralization because you've seen the Taliban leadership in Afghanistan. Devolving powers and decentralizing powers, that would mean that they will lose control. They have to be able to control every individual in society, women, children, men, old, elderly, everybody. You cannot have Syria become to any level decentralized when Damascus doesn't want that. So the Kurds could just go around and say, can we have decentralization and some sort of autonomy? It's not going to happen. Al-Jilani is there now. A member of NATO is backing him, Turkey. Things are getting complicated, which also means expect more migrants and refugees from Syria for the next few years. Some reaction from you guys. Don't forget, limited offer down here. 50% off Tousi TV Plus annual memberships if you use the promo code X50 by going on tousi.tv, or just find the link in the description. We have Ivan in the super chat saying Erdogan really hates the Kurds. We got a lot of reactions already. We've got Yardi saying send Greta. She'll make it better. She doesn't care because the Jews are not involved in this. Fat Cat says people don't like to admit that really the Assad government was viable given the schism in Syria. If only could have dropped the anti-Israel stance. Well, Assad was killing more Kurds, so, and just more Syrians in general. But yeah, Doesn't just because Giuliani is a monster doesn't mean Assad was an angel. And for like 13 years, there was a complete civil war where there was literally no unified country. Syria wasn't a country, really. Druze, Christians, Druze, Hindus, Baluchs, now Kurds. Yes, everybody's being targeted. There's only something that this group has in common. The group that's against them. I wonder which group is that. Let me know in the live chat if you know. What group is attacking all these other groups? Misha says, as a side note, using UK LA Feds planning October 7th. What? Something parade. They should go to Palestine. That's, yep, okay. Through the wardrobe. Let's say the chain of narration. Thank you, Misha. It is, I guess, midnight. You're going to get interesting comments. Creative writing, let's just say. One question, what was the reported aid on the Greta's convoy? Hello, Mr. Tousi. I promised myself not to talk about that idiot, at least for a few days. Because it's just pointless. It's completely pointless. But let's not forget, Greta Thunberg was taken as hostage by Israel. If you listen to Candace Owens. Candace, who would have thought a coalition between Candace and Greta Thunberg? What an actual crazy timeline. Yeah, if you had thought, like back in 2019, right? 2019, Greta was this like little weird kid. Everybody who was not left-wing hated her. Like, she's been abused by her parents. And then you had Candace Owens, who converted to the right, because obviously her background, she was already left-wing. She was like, yeah, actually, I'm not anymore. You know, I'm against BLM. And who would have thought in 2019 that only 5-6 years after, you're going to have Candace Owens and Greta Thunberg on the same team. Absolute insanity. All right. Ivan is back saying NATO and the Middle East is a mess. Well, NATO... Right. Well, NATO's strategy with the Middle East has been fascinating because they can't have one anymore after Iraq and Afghanistan, especially with Erdogan in charge of Turkey. There is no unity in NATO. They only have basic unity against Russia. That's it. It's literally it. Basic unity, but not much else. Like they can't really make up their mind on what NATO is supposed to be doing in the Middle East. So. Because if the rest of NATO membership say one thing about Syria, Turkey is just going to have a meltdown. It's interesting because we criticize BRICS, or is it the Eastern Globalist Bloc led by China and President Xi. And BRICS, we always make fun of it because it came with all these promising ideas of, well, we don't need liberal democracy, we could just change the whole world, we don't need the dollar supremacy, we can have our own. And we are so united. We've got China, we've got Russia, we're going to get Iran, we've got all these countries. India, you can come in too. And then every single time some decision is supposed to be made by the BRICS leadership, basically China vetoes everything. India doesn't have a say anymore and is falling apart. But let's not forget, the NATO alliance, there is no real unity, especially when it comes to sensitive regions like the Middle East or North Africa. The Western globalists, Eastern globalists, everybody's all over the place. Everything's falling apart, and ordinary people just sitting here watching the world burn. Like, okay, so seems like for about 50, 60 years, 30 years at least, the conflicts moved somewhere else. In the West, we don't have conflicts. All the wars are in the Middle East, North Africa, elsewhere. That's nice. It's good. But then slowly coming this way. Not officially. It's not France attacking England. But it's people from France attacking people in England by getting on small boats. So conflicts are now slowly happening, which is kind of interesting because if this were 100 years ago, 150 years ago, when you used to get your news about like 2 weeks after it happened, which means because it will take 2 weeks for you to find out what's going on, or at least a few days, it will be a combination of everything that's happened. Whereas now, because everything is fast-paced, a lot of people are not really alarmed. The reason I say that is because things are happening so regularly because we report it regularly. I'm talking about, for example, the grooming gang scandal, stabbings, shootings, everything, right? the tribal wars on the streets of England, because they get reported, the isolated incidents, small attacks, small crimes get reported individually every day, every week, it's kind of become, people are numb. I'm not talking about you guys who are awake and who are aware, but the vast majority, they kind of hear, oh, things are happening, but they don't feel how vast it is compared to back in the day when news wasn't as fast. And by the time you get the news, you hear a combination of, so we are hearing that, for example, Paris is now a war zone because you get a list of everything that's happened over the last week or so. But now, because it's just so regular, it's every half an hour, people are kind of not feeling it. They don't realize that the wars that you kind of move them away from Western Europe, they are here. It's just by proxy. It's not really governments attacking governments, but it's on a tribal level. The World War III, to any point, will be on the streets of multiple countries at the same time in a more civil war level. It's not going to be tanks, French tanks, for example, crossing the border to England. It'll be in a whole different level. It will be a cultural war, it will be a spiritual war, and a value-based war, rather than geopolitically strategic. Anyway, crazy stuff. People are saying something about Muhammad. And yeah, but that's my point, by the way. Paris is always on fire. It's true, especially since the Fifth Republic, but we don't really. I mean, we notice it. I mention it, right? You guys see it. You guys, some of you would probably post on social media about it, right? But even we kind of joke about it. Oh yeah, well, it's Paris. It's just a Tuesday, cars being burnt. Imagine if what's happening in Paris, it was happening 200 years ago, and then you would find out the story one day about what's going on in Paris. You'd be terrified. Now it's just people like, it's just Paris. I'll just avoid going there. Anyway, I have some good news because we have a thing about 3 new premium content coming in very soon, all at the same time. We got the Israel documentary about October 7th being released soon. We have an anti-family agenda documentary. We also have an original series about why Poland got it right in Europe. And there's a couple of other things. We are also filming our latest episode of our Tousi Talks podcast tomorrow. All this will be on Tousi TV Plus. If you don't know what it is, it's on our website and our app. It's our main independent platform. You can join Tousi TV Plus today you can just go check out the website if you want first, tousi.tv, and you can use the promo code X50 to get 50% off annual memberships, not monthly, annual memberships of Tousi TV Plus. Don't put a space. We have people emailing us saying the code doesn't work when we realized they put a space between X and 50. It's X50, no space. And of course, as I said, download the Tousi TV app, the home of geopolitical news. You get the news alerts and everything else that happens throughout the day. And of course, access to everything that I said, including the chat forum, our exclusive chat forum if you want to talk to me directly and like-minded people, which takes me back to the main point. We are going to continue this live coverage by going to our Tousi TV Plus members chat forum, which is obviously on the website. So in the next few minutes, we will be there. If you're new to the channel, you don't know how to find it. Once you go on our private Discord server, our chat forum is on the left-hand side underneath voice channels. It's called Post Live Chat. I will be there in the next few minutes to continue this conversation with you lovely members of Tousi TV Plus. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya Tousi, and we are the media.